when, where you're checking this from. Um, Before we get into it, if you are tuning in from YouTube, please be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. For those listening on Spotify, please be sure to drop a 5-star rating. That's the quick and free and easy way of putting a smile on my face. So, thank you to everybody that did join in the last episode. We had an interesting conversation with Charles Smith. I'd like to send out a special shout out to all the Spanish people. Last Sunday, we had an amazing World Cup finals. Congrats to them. Beat my favorite team, Argentina. Shout out to all the Philly fans. Today, we had really interesting news. LBJ, LeBron James, did sign with the Philadelphia 76ers for $8 million. A surprising number, but anyways, got it done. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce today's guests. So I'm going to start with the one we can see right now, which is Mr. Gabriel McDuffie. He was raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee, um, and grew up in the Avondale community. He refined his skills in Labette Community College and Ottawa University, and he is a collegiate wrestler. Today, he is a pro and he is a coach too. We also got Alfred in the building. Started wrestling when he was in sixth grade. Um, he did move to New Jersey at some stage in his life, and today he's also coaching and he's also pro. So what's good, Gabriel? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I can't complain. This Texas Heat's gonna be the death of me. I'm surviving. I heard. But
Nah, nah. Tell me about it, because I mean, I do come from a part of the world that has a very similar climate to your side. So, one really interesting thing about your mission is, you really got a heart for Africa, for the continent, and maybe
oh yeah.
before we get into that, tell us a little bit about how you got into wrestling, why you got into it, and how your journey's been ever since.
Well, I originally started off watching WWE with my brothers growing up, but as as the years went by, we started growing apart and whatnot, and with different hobbies and whatnot. And I always wanted to be a wrestler. See, my family was nothing but a bunch of basketball and football players, and that wasn't really interesting to me. So I wanted to wrestle. So I finally got the chance my eighth grade year because during my sixth and seventh grade year, I was at a private school my sixth grade year, and they didn't have wrestling. In my seventh grade year, I moved schools, but I didn't have the academic achievement to participate on the program yet. So my eighth grade year, I finally turned it around, and I started wrestling then. In my eighth grade year at Red Bank Middle School.
Oh no, that's cool. And I see that Alfred's back in the building for some technical reason. Like we can't see Alfred. Hope you can hear us. Can you hear us, Alfred?
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Cool. Tell us a bit about your story. Like I see that you started this when you were in sixth grade, and what made you get started in wrestling?
Uh, so as a kid, in New York, there was like a big basketball was a big deal in New York, but I was like bad in math. So one of my teacher, his name is Anthony. He was like, "Hey, if you do wrestling, I could help you with your help you with math," and I did. And then I fell in love with wrestling. So basically, I started wrestling because I was bad in math.
No, that's great to
Hello?
hear. So back to you, Gabe.
Yeah.
So back to you. So back to you, Gabriel. So one interesting part about your story is your mission to take your skill set to the continent that I come from, Africa. Tell us a bit about what drove you to do that and how the whole thing is going.
Well, the first time I went to Africa, I had a wrestling program, and I went over there. They treated me with such gratitude and kindness for the whole life, and I wanted to everything possible. Not empowered the kids, because there are some talented wrestlers in that area. I just Africa, but the whole of Africa. I just want to be able to get some of those kids the support that the kids here in the United States get. I want I want to be able to try to get those kids on a wrestling scholarship and be able to I want to be able to get the kids on a wrestling scholarship, so that way they'll have a fighting chance of going to school and doing what they love.
No, cool. That's great. And tell us about some of the key highlights in your career in college in wrestling.
So my highlights in career in wrestling. So when I was at Quebec Community College, see, I was a starting 141 pounder, but the thing is, I couldn't make the weight. So my coach, Coach Vesta, let me go up to 49 my sophomore year, and I had some type of success there, but I had some problems at home going on. You see, my mom passed away before my freshman year, after my freshman year in
Sorry to
college,
hear that.
and there was some good stuff on the mat, but at the same time, it was some bad stuff on the mat, to be honest, because I wasn't really living like a college athlete. For example, I was ranked number one in the nation, but in my eyes, I didn't feel like I deserved that number one spot because I wasn't really doing what I needed to do as an athlete. Meaning, I wasn't really going to class. My mental health was starting to feel like, wasn't being there. It just felt like I was living a life. So once I finished with the Ottawa University, I felt like a true college athlete, to be quite honest. And not only I got my grades up, but I was able to graduate with a 3.5 GPA, earning my bachelor's degree in sports studies, and I was able to take it further and get my master's. Get my master's in sports administration. I'm athletic administration, excuse me. And I was able to cure a 3.9 GPA because of the support system that I have at Ottawa University. So I can say I finally made a turn.
No, that's dope. Alfred, you back with us? Can you hear us? We can't see you for some reason.
My phone's kind of acting up because my phone's broken, so I can't like fully. Cause it ain't like overheat every time I charge it. But I can hear you a little bit, but not too well.
Okay, that's all right. So tell me, so in your career, Gabriel, who are some of the role models that kind of inspired you? Because from what I'm
Uh,
hearing in your journey, you face some challenges, and many times there's something that keeps us going, in whatever we do. Because in your case, you did mention mental health issues. There were some times where you faced personal trials like the loss of your mother. So what really kept you going on? Because you're going to be dealing with a bunch of kids in the continent that's facing a lot of challenges. Obviously, different countries in the continent are facing challenges in their own way, and you know you're gonna be facing young people that are facing challenges similar, if not worse than you, and something's gonna have to keep them going on. So, what kept you going on, and what would you say to like a younger you that's going through something similar?
So, what kept me going? I have a variety of mentors and coaches that they kept me on a straight track. So I would start off from like when I was young, all the way up to my adult years. So I would like to state that Shane Turner from Chattanooga, Tennessee, he's a fantastic coach in all of the South. Benjamin Reichel, he's like a father figure to me. He took me in. Well, he basically took me in, and he took me to church with him every Sunday. Getting right with the getting right with my religion. And overall, he's a good man. He's a good man. I will have to say, I did have some tough coaches during college. So I think I'm really grateful for the toughness on the junior college aspect because in life, life gonna knock you down, keep you down, but you gotta have that mental toughness, or you gotta have that some type of grit just to get back up. So I would like to thank well, first off, let me go back to my high school coach and Org Weisenberg. So I'd like to thank my coaches at Lebec Community College, Jeff Vesta, and the head coach at Lebec Community College, and Julian, excuse me, Coach Julian. He's the current head coach at Cloud Community College. So during my system, so Mr. John Holstetter, he's a good man. He's actually one that inspired me to do this whole wrestling for hope stuff. To be quite honest. And he's partnership with the Winter Center Board with Miss Trish Down and Mr. Adam Keene. And sorry, I'm trying not to stutter. And Mr. Adam and Mr. Keith, Shimpton. I don't know how to say his last name, but I also want to talk about Mr. Donald. He's been a big brother figure to me when I got since I got to Auburn University. Not only he was able to help me get my master's degree, but he was basically a good mentor to me and a good role model of my support system role. Like I can go to him to anything and hey, am I wrong about saying this, or am I, or how should I go
Yeah.
about it? Like just a solid second opinion person.
Yeah.
Yes. Aiden, he's currently at Life University right now, but he's a good he was a good role model. And right up to my senior world team, Coach G and Coach Eric Palmer, and those guys are they're a cool group of individuals, to be quite honest. Like even though when I lose like a match in the world in it on the world stage, like it's still all laughs and giggles and it's fun. They made the sport fun for me to
Yeah.
wrestle again, to be quite honest. And the thing that pushed me the most, I had all those people believe in me, and that's what kept. And I'm 29 years old, so I learned in life if you have one person that
Yeah.
believes in you, just one, you can go to jail, hurt somebody, but you can do all the crazy stuff in the world. But you have one person that believes in you, you can be
Yeah.
redeemed. You no matter what background you
I'd
come
love to
from.
hear that.
So that's asset to like upcoming wrestlers. So not from Sierra Leone, but all the continent of Africa. Like I want to be that one person that believes in them and believes in their abilities.
No, I'd love to hear that. So I saw a couple of headlines where you were like tossing a couple of bodies, and there was some W's. Tell us about some of the highlights of your career, and also some of the challenges and setbacks that you faced. When I say setbacks, like some losses, how you overcame that. The reason why I asked that is because for me, as I won't say that I was an athlete, but I was quite active, an active basketball player in high school. And as a basketball fan, there's so many lessons in sports that you can take in life, you can take into business, almost any area in life. So tell us about some of the
Right.
biggest W's and some of the biggest L's, and how you handle that.
Okay, so I will start from the get go. My senior year, I'm not afraid to say I was ashamed to talk about this. My senior year in high school, I was in the state finals and I lost in 30 seconds.
Wow.
That was that was probably the most embarrassing loss I've taken my whole entire career, to be quite honest. But even though like that happened, shoot, the video he clipped like got over 1,000 views. So that definitely kind of like messed with me a little bit. But I was able to bounce back from it though. I had a decent college career, to be
Yeah.
quite honest. And is the first tournament I actually wrestled at, he was in my bracket, and I beaten a few dudes that beat him, to be honest. And that showed me I'm like, okay, cool, I'm back on the right track. But I'm not trying to impress people on the state level. I'm trying to get on the national level, to be honest. Even though we're in two different divisions, I still need to get on that national because he ended up going. I think he went to a D2 school, I
Yeah.
believe, and I was still at a junior college. So I was on the right track, but I still had a long, long way to go. And let's talk about my world career. My first world tournament was for was the Zagreb Open in Croatia, and that was my first very big tournament, to be quite honest. And the thing is, I'm wrestling with the world's best, like the people you see on TV, and like the people you see in the NCAA finals. And I never thought in my life I'll get this far in my life, to be honest. So, excuse me. So I lost to a five-time NCAA All-American, but I was able to score on
Mm.
him. So that gave me like a little, and it gave me hope. It gave me a little like beam of hope. That I was like, yes, you can do this. You can definitely do this. And I scored. Well, even though I lost both my matches, I was able to score on the guy that was ranked number 5th in the world from
Wow.
India. But even though I still kind of like gave me an idea like what I'm up against and what I'm doing, so I was able to turn that around. I was able to turn that around to a full 180, and I was able to place at the Africa
Mm.
Championships in Egypt. And the good thing about this tournament was, the people I made friends with in East Africa was there, and it was a beautiful sight, to be honest, because only got a chance to see me wrestle on TV, or not on TV, on YouTube and whatnot, but they never got a chance to see me
Yeah.
in person. And people I helped out as well, they was at that tournament as well, and it was a beautiful sight, to be honest, because my coaches was there, my friends were there, and the people I helped was there, and it either win, lose, or draw. it was a good tournament. I loved it.
No, I'm glad to hear that. And I must say that you're like the fourth collegiate wrestler that I know. I do know Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, I believe Bobby Lashley. At some point, they had that career. Then they went into pro wrestling. Wow, I call that sports entertainment, not really pro wrestling. Um, yeah, but I mean, one thing I must admire is that, as someone that used to play a team sport, which is basketball, losing is quite devastating. But in that case, it was a team issue. So many times when you want to do a post mortem to understand what happened, it's something that happened in the collective. I really admire people in like combat sports, like these individual one to one sports that overcome such big losses because I mean it's all on you. So I really admire and appreciate the mental toughness.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You gotta have a strong will to keep doing this sport. To be quite
yeah,
honest, and to be honest, it can you sometimes you do have your days. Sometimes you'll be like, oh man, I really don't want to do this
yeah,
anymore. But you can't just sit in that corner all day. You got at least try to go back out there again because you can lose any match, but if you give up on yourself, that's gonna hurt worse than just
yeah.
losing. To be honest, because that's gonna stick with you till you're 80 years old. To be honest, because there's some matches I regret to this day that I gave up on, and I still regret to this day. To be honest, shoot.
Nah, for sure, man. No, but that's a lesson that I'm going to take with me in every area. My career, my business ventures. I really truly appreciate that. So, anyway, and apart from that, like, is there any athlete outside of like wrestling that inspires you to do what you do?
Um. Well. What do they have to be famous, or does it can it be somebody personal I know?
Either way, it doesn't have to be famous. Inspiration is inspiration.
Okay, so I will have to admit, my brother Dominique, he passed. He passed. That's another reason I'm back on wrestling again. I was on the verge of retirement, to be quite
Mm.
honest, but brother, he's no longer with us right now, and he was a very talented athlete. To be quite honest, shoot, to be honest, he was everything an athlete. It's like everything that a coach wanted in an
Mm.
athlete. 4.0 GPA, or consistent. He was to be honest, he was a starter. He was a starter. He was a starter. I think he's a safety. At his first year at Appalachian State University, and he was able to score a few touchdowns. To be honest, shoot, but the thing is, I was the complete opposite. Like, I didn't have the proper knowledge because I grew up with a learning disability, reading and comprehension,
Mm.
and that hindered my ability to learn. To be honest, but everything came natural to him. Everything came, I'm not gonna say easy for him, but with the education portion though, he was got it. He got it.
Yeah. No, I must say that you're
uh,
really inspiration. I didn't know that part of you. I really relate to that because I personally have a son who's autistic. He's 5 years old, nonverbal. And as a dad, you want to see your son, grow. You want to see a child grow up and be successful in life. And it's quite inspiring to see you achieve what you achieved in spite of that. And that'll forever be an inspiration to me. So, anyways, for some reason we couldn't have Alfred on longer than we'd like. Alfred Daniels, I believe he had some technical issues, but I'd like to thank you for joining. It was really great chatting with you. And any last words you'd like to drop for anybody watching, and any words you'd like to
uh,
leave to the younger Gabriels that are listening.
yeah, just work hard, study well, eat and sleep plenty, and you might have some hard days. And you might have some hard days, but the hard days don't last forever. And I promise you, if you keep with it with the sport you do or whatever special talent you have, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and you will have success in the future.
For sure. Gabriel, thank you so much for joining, man, and I look forward to collaborating further, man. Thanks so much for joining.
Yep, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Take it easy.